Good morning, everybody. Mike Naso here with an update on Tropical Storm Arthur that continues to spin off the Florida coastline. And as we see the first visible image this morning, you can see there are towers developing here with a tropical storm that has strengthened overnight, even though the satellite appearance is still somewhat ragged. We're going to discuss all of this in this video update. And we now have hurricane watches along portions of the Carolina coastline. Here's the latest on Tropical Storm Arthur as of 5 a.m. It was at 28.4 north, 79.1 west. Winds were up to 60 miles per hour now, gusting close to hurricane force, and it is expected to become a hurricane in the next 24 to 36 hours. It's moving north now a little faster at 5. The motion can be interpreted possibly a little to the west of due north or possibly straight to the north, but it is moving a little bit faster than yesterday. 996 millibars, so the pressure continues to get lower as Arthur continues to intensify. And the forecast here is pretty straightforward: a turn towards the north-northeast and then the northeast and an acceleration by the weekend. And the forecast does have it as a hurricane, strengthening hurricane of Category 1 strength, skirting the Outer Banks on the 4th of July. So if you live in the Outer Banks, get your hurricane plan together and be on the lookout just in case there are evacuations ordered. Remember, storm surge flooding could be very serious on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. When we look at the watches and warnings, you can see the tropical storm watches and warnings that we've had along the Florida coast. Everything now extended to the north, including the hurricane watch in areas including the Outer Banks of North Carolina, now that we see the likelihood that Arthur will be a hurricane, the first of the year, and make a very close, at the very least indirect impact to the North Carolina coastline. The computer models are in pretty good agreement here on a northerly trek with an eventual turn to the northeast, although some have it making landfall. The GFS does have a landfall, and the GFDL and HWRF both have a landfall. As a matter of fact, if we look at those models, this was the 0Z, or I'm sorry, the 12Z, this was the 0Z HWRF. It's been a long night tracking this thing, so you gotta cut me some slack here. The 0Z HWRF model shows Arthur over the sound here in North Carolina as a Category 1 hurricane with a 979 millibar pressure on the 4th of July. And then as we look at the GFDL model, it also shows it scraping along the Outer Banks, although it does show those hurricane force winds just offshore. So again, we're going to have to deal with this system, and it is a strengthening tropical storm. You can see at this time, clearly there was dry air entrainment. That's quite clear overnight. And it is very ragged still on the western side. Most of the deep convection is on the eastern side here, although the Bahamas here are getting a bit of a break finally after that heavy rainfall and gusty winds they've been dealt with the last, say, 24 hours, if not longer than that. But we do have a new burst of convection here very close to the center, to the east of the center, and that motion continues now slowly but surely towards the north. Here's the radar, and this is a little bit foreboding here. Clearly you can see an eye trying to develop there. No signs really of an eye wall of any type, possibly down here towards the southeastern side of the circulation. But we do have a better defined circulation, so it seems like it's strengthening from here on out as the system continues to move slowly but steadier and steadier towards the north. There's a pretty good shower coming in there to Cape Canaveral right about now along the Florida coastline. Again, not what you want to see on 4th of July weekend, a radar image like this off the southeast coast of what appears to be a hurricane in the making for the United States coastline. Now the wind shear is going to decrease. It's been decreasing. You can see about 5 knots, and the pattern is getting a little more favorable. Still a little bit from the north here, about 5 to 10 knots. But as it gets under a little bit of a safe harbor here, it should strengthen ahead of the troughiness that's going to push it on off towards the northeast. We saw Hurricane Alex do the same thing in 2004. Although Alex became a Category 3 hurricane, right now it doesn't appear as though that's going to happen with Arthur, but we'll wait and see. If it did happen, a Category 2 or 3. It'd likely be as it was passing by the Outer Banks. Hopefully it wouldn't be at the time it was impacting or even making a landfall. I did want to touch on Douglas in the Eastern Pacific, still 45 miles an hour, moving northwest at 3. Very slow moving systems out there today. 1001 millibars. Douglas is weaker than Arthur in the Atlantic. It's forecast to weaken and keep moving towards the west. And Aleta is gone now, drifting southeast at 3 miles an hour. Another slow mover. Got sheared apart from the outflow of Douglas, way up there at 1008 millibars. And the only impact from that will be possibly some more heavy surf along the Mexican coastline, if anything at all. You can see there's no sign of Aleta or what was left of Aleta out here, but Douglas is still firing some convection, but it's out there heading towards cooler waters and stable air, and there's nothing in the Western Pacific right now to be concerned with. The main concern is this system off the coast of Florida, Tropical Storm Arthur, forecast to have impacts on North Carolina as a hurricane on the 4th of July. I'm Mike Naso. I'll see you next time.